Hey, great work, Mac. Now let's take down the next challenger. Left, right, left, right. That's it, baby. Push it out, Mac. Come on, push it out. Faster, faster. Come on, you can do it. Quick feet, Mac. Quick feet. Keep it up, Mac. Keep it up.
Folks, I've been looking forward to this. I've already said this before, but I honestly believe that Yoshi will be the absolute best partner to do this challenge with. And getting to do this immediately after Vivian is going to be a breath of fresh air. A partner unparalleled in power, range, speed, and versatility, Yoshi is going to dominate. I'm honestly so excited, I don't want to wait anymore. But before we do start, just a quick question for you to answer in the comments down below. What's your favorite color Yoshi? And if you could, what would you name your Yoshi? I'd love to hear it. And with that, thank you for waiting. We're getting into this challenge. It's showtime! To start, I bet you're just dying to know what I named my Yoshi. Yeah, this is thanks to my moderator. Okay, Sugar Bun, I hope you understand that I really do appreciate you as a fan. That bit of passive aggressiveness aside, the Iron Kleps are not going to last very long because, as we already know, after needing this Yoshi specifically for the exception thrice now, we can just use Gulp twice and knock them both out, which coincidentally also works wonderfully for the tiny Spinies. We also get a nice Storm, which I just use on the Bristles because I just don't care, and I don't think Gulp really works for them either. And let's talk about Bowser. So for this fight, I highly insist you equip either one or both of your Power Plus Ps. Without them, you're not going to do any damage without using Gulp. And for the sake of your FP, that wouldn't really be a good career move. If you wanted to, Mini Egg also works just to know the damage that Bowser can do, which I guess gives Yoshi some kind of defensive utility, but it's not really necessary if you have a lot of HP. For Dark Claw, Mini Egg is key as it both does a lot of damage with Power Plus Ps equipped, as well as shrinks it, so you don't have to take too much damage from its attacks. Hammer Bama and Flare can be easily gulped down if you wanted to, though I got unfortunate and got the no FP restriction, so I have to use Ground Pound a lot here. And the Koopinator, you just gulp away and he'll be at bay. But how about Rock Hawk? Well, here's an interesting bit of trivia for you to know. Rock Hawk can only target the front if he wants any chance of hitting the back too. So in theory, what you can do is just equip some Power Rush and Mega Rush P badges, keep Mario's guard up, and let Yoshi fall into peril. Hit him a few times just to put him below max HP, maybe about 10 damage, but don't do too much. And just guard away, or at least just try to get your HP to fall into 1. He only has an attack of 4 until he starts using the other move. And you are set to just spam Ground Pound, not only on him, but on Macho Grubba too, and we'll get over that in a minute. By the way, the one time a bucket falls on a boss's head, I don't want it to happen because it just wasted time. And he missed literally all the turns that he was dizzy, which is kind of funny, but at the same time, not really something that I appreciate because it didn't really help me at all. Anyway, Macho Grubba. Well, my attack stat is already like 8 now, and 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 is 30. Macho Grubba has 60 HP, and his first turn is always to make himself go fast, which allows him to attack twice in a turn, which he will not get to attack at all because by the time that he can attack, he's already dead. Man, why'd I have to call my Yoshi ooh? Like, he's such a Kenshiro. Chapter 4, I'll be honest, is really nothing but a blip on the radar. Like, there's Atomic Boo and there's Dupless. Both of them are not threatening at all. Bruh. For Atomic Boo, you have 2 options. You can either equip all of your attack up badges, fall into 1 HP, and do a single Ground Pound to KO it, or equip 2 Power Plus Ps and just 5 it KO using Ground Pound. Either way, it is not a very long fight. And given that, there's very little, if anything, to say at all about Dupless either. Honestly, if not for the amazing items available in Chapter 4, I'd say that this chapter may as well not even exist, because the bosses here are not very difficult. That being said, I will never complain about getting a free boost sheet from here. For Dupless and his partners, I kinda just let Mario alone for this fight, because I feel like when I do a Mario-only challenge on this YouTube channel, it'll be a good teaser for what's to come. Because let's be real here, the only thing that's gonna be stronger than Yoshi is Mario. Anywho, Chapter 5 is Embers. You can simply either use Mini Egg or Gulp, but Ground Pound is a no-go. Not like he needs it because he is Yoshi. Meanwhile, Cortez was as easy as 1, 2, and 3. He has 20 HP and 1 defense point. All the badges you really need for this fight are a single Mega Rush P and a single Power Plus P. 7 attack minus 1 defense point is 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 is 20, and Cortez has 20 HP per phase. 3 Ground Pounds later, and he's dead. And unlike Lord Crump, Cortez does not get a chance to attack until after you take your turn for each new phase, so he doesn't even get a chance to attack you. If you haven't quite picked up on it by now, letting the AI chip you down into peril and then attacking is often a very viable strategy. Yoshi really can't just get away with getting hurt. He's like Lucario. Everything's been going pretty dang well, up until this, where we have a little bit of trouble in Paradise. I had a fair bit of trouble trying to keep my HP at a safe range for the fight with Lord Crump and the Crossnots, because Yoshi didn't really have a very good method of knocking out multiple enemies without either using Gulp or Stampede, and you can't really gulp a bunch of Crossnots, much less a whole horde of Crossnots. So when my HP did drop too low, I did have to reset. I also like the BP to fit at having a Defend plus P equipped, so I couldn't really afford to increase my defense. I just had to get good at guarding this. I mean, either that or they attack Mario instead. I mean, either way, whichever one comes first. Fortunately, by phase 2, my HP was at a value where I didn't have to guard for Yoshi at all. So I let him fall to 1 HP, and then with the ground pound, Lord Crump into submission. That's what we call in wrestling a technical knockout. Though my ground pound started doing like 10 damage to Lord Crump and not 8 like I expected it to be. So I probably had like an extra Power Rush P, which I didn't really need. So yeah, I made a mistake with my badges, but it didn't really matter that much in the long run. You know, a win's a win. Now before we start Chapter 6, there are a few things to take care of. Yoshi is a partner that doesn't really need 10 FP more often than not. So I go to Chet Repo. What Chet Repo does is that he allows you to readjust your stats whenever you feel like you don't really need as much in one stat, but you want more in another. In our case, more BP just could never hurt, and we don't really need that much FP. Since Yoshi's best attack is completely free, we're able to reinvest some of our level ups into BP instead of having extra FP. Alongside this, we also go ahead and get the up arrow, which allows us to get our partners ranked up to Ultra rank so Yoshi can learn Stampede. We also collect all the available defense increasing badges for Mario, and we're ready for Smorg. It's a rare day when I can say a fight with Smorg is effortless, isn't it? All you really have to do is just equip all of your Attack Plus badges, which include your Mega Rush badge, your Power Plus Ps, and the single Power Rush P. Give Mario enough defense to guard a Meowsma swipe and take no damage from it just to be absolutely safe, and you're ready. Stampede all the Meowsmas away, ground pound once, and then guard until your HP is at a value that's like 1 more than a multiple of 5. Let the Meowsmas chip you down to only having 1 HP left, knock the last one out, which, by the way, I would advise only having 1 Meowsma left alive and knocking up the other 2 with Yoshi's ground pound. It makes things a lot easier. But yeah, when your HP hits 1, just attack the core with a fully powered ground pound and it's already dead. 45 damage out of 50 max HP. That, my friends, is the power of being in peril. And let me tell you, before doing this run, having the L emblem has never felt so appropriate. Chapter 7 is home to Magnus von Grapple 2, let's talk about him. Because he has 2 defense points, you do need to have both of your Power Plus P badges equipped for this fight. But trust you me, this fight is also very easy for Yoshi to pull off. Remember Power Rush and Mega Rush? Well, of course you do, we always talk about those 2 badges. Yeah, equip them. Also, Mario has a lot of HP because of HP pluses, because I like to gamble at the pay at the parlor, just to make sure Yoshi reaches low HP first. All you have to do is ground pound Magnus von Grapple 2 once, then knock him down to 64 HP left, and then wait for your HP to hit 1 point left and subsequently peril. Ground pound, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 is 33 if you add them all together, and once Magnus von Grapple 2 falls to 63 HP or less, he'll shoot out his X punches guaranteed that turn. He should only have 31 HP left though, so 1 more ground pound and he's dead. Up to this point, this run has been such a freaking meme. Before doing this, I don't think I've ever looked so much forward to Chapter 8 in my life. But we're heading there, and I would love for you to join me as we venture through it with our beloved partner, Uwu. Chapter 8 is the climax, the final trial, the day of reckoning, and for most partners, their worst nightmare. But for Yoshi, well, it's definitely the hardest chapter yet, but it's not quite as intimidating. Dark Bones are up first, and a fight that can be really annoying because of having 2 defense points and Yoshi needing at least 2 Power Plus Ps to deal damage is no threat whatsoever. Just be in peril, have Mega Rush P equipped, maybe a Power Plus P if not a Power Rush P, click Stampede, and watch those numbers fall. He may need some help from the herd, but there's nothing wrong with a little bit of homie wonton destruction. Anyway, Gloomtail has come out to play, and this fight is also ordinarily an absolute nightmare for most partners. Fortunately here, I had a plan. The way my badges were geared was very specific. Having to factor in both Gloomtail's piercing attack as well as his non-piercing attacks, as well as attacks that cannot be guarded period like his bite, I plotted turn by turn just how much damage I would take, when to use items to heal myself, when to attack, and how much damage I should do when I attack. The damage definitely started off slow, but that was inconsequential. I knew exactly how much I had to do, I knew exactly when to put it on, and I knew how to finish the fight with the damage I needed. Yoshi's HP stat is not ideal for manipulating damage for either danger status or peril status, but just because it's not ideal does not make it impossible to do. However, some luck was involved. After being attacked thrice, Yoshi would only have 6 HP left, 1 point above being in danger. However, there are some items that would help with this. Namely the Meteor Meal. This item gives you 7 extra HP points as well as 3 turns of HP regeneration. And HP regeneration gives you 2 HP per turn as long as it's active. So instead of my HP falling from 30 to 22 to 14 to 6, it would go from 30 to 22, heal to 29, 23, 17, and 11. Now one more attack from Gloomtail will put me at 3 HP. And even with my last stand equipped, any attack that Gloomtail hits me with will prove to be lethal. Basically, I was 1 HP short of having this be actually possible. So I either had to get lucky with Gloomtail using his Stomp, which I can actually guard and is effective by defense, doing 7 damage over 8, or restore 1 more HP. I just so happened to do both. Of course, while keeping Mario alive. And from here I kept attacking until Gloomtail was roughly, let's say, 6 HP above the damage trigger. Once I was within that range, I went to attack one more time to trigger the Earthquake, and because I had 1 extra HP than necessary, I didn't have to guard this attack. If Gloomtail did not stomp at all, I would have had to guard the Earthquake, and I don't trust my luck with that, so I'm happy that I didn't have to worry about that. And from here, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Once Gloomtail's HP falls to 32 or less, he will always charge his Mega Breath, and 2 ground pounds from Peril is more than enough to KO Gloomtail from this HP. Fog may have tried to be a nuisance here, but it really did not bother me at all. And really, I did this on my first attempt, so there really is nothing else to report as far as how this could go wrong. I just went in and did it. There's nothing else to really say. As a matter of fact, my star points at the end of this fight were still low enough, whereas I could take the Riddle Tower out, get some FP back with Flower Finder, and then immediately obliterate the Shadow Sirens round 2. This fight lasted 1 turn. It was already over before it even started. You know, at the end of my Vivian only challenge, I was talking about like having to count some penalties for other partners. I think even if Yoshi had some penalties, there's a very clear number 1 here. I'm just saying, I ranked this guy as first place in my partner rankings for a reason. And I will probably be feeling spoiled as heck when I go to fight with Bobbery because it's just not going to be nearly as fast as Yoshi has been. Coming up next is Grotus. I'll be honest, I decided from the start to just get my HP to a low value where I can be put into peril from 1 attack, and then try using a stopwatch. If only for the sole reason that I do not want to put up with how much RNG is involved in this fight. And with how this fight was designed, it would be excruciating for Yoshi. Keep in mind that Grotus will always at any given point have 3 defense thanks to always having 2 Grotus X's at the end of every turn. Yoshi at base will only ever have 1 attack unless you choose to use Gulp. And if you want the ground pound, you need both P up D down P and both power pluses. It's also virtually impossible to guide your HP down into peril. I don't even try. That being said, I did want to try with Bowser and Kammy Koopa, but I found out at the very first turn that it would not be worth trying because A, the idea I had did not really have much hope if I had bad stage RNG, and 2, the idea I came up with afterwards was just so much faster and more efficient that I just figured, why did I not think of this earlier? Like, I can think of very roundabout ways of doing something when there's a much more simple solution that I just completely overlooked. What happened my first time trying to beat Bowser and Kammy Koopa was that I would attack Bowser with my HP low both on Mario and Yoshi, and then the fog would come in. It would make the fire rep that Bowser does turn 1 miss Yoshi, and it hits Mario, knocking him out. But the life shoot would bring him back, but Yoshi's HP is still too low to survive another hit. And it didn't really matter who Kammy targeted because by this point the fight was a failure. If Bowser missed Yoshi because of the fog, I could not lock his AI, and if he hits Yoshi with his bite, Yoshi dies and the fight's a lost cause, much like my stream chat. I went ahead and did what I did with Grotus before, used a stopwatch, and went back to Bowser and Kammy Koopa, this time with an entirely different strategy, and that's just to bulldoze everything with Stampede. It uses less items, it uses less turns, and ultimately it's a lot easier to do. Though if you're interested in my original strategy, I'll put it in the description down below, so just check that whatever you want. There's also my Twitch channel as well as my Discord server if you're interested, so go ahead, why not, just join and follow. And yeah, that's the last few bosses aside from the Shadow Queen. Deceptively easy, I'd say. Even though with Grotus, I decided to just cheese it and be done with it. But now, the Shadow Queen. The last boss standing between Uwu and the Hall of Fame. Let's talk about her. In a word, the fight with the Shadow Queen that I had with Yoshi was utterly ridiculous. There were a lot of things weighing on my mind about how I would do this fight, because even though Yoshi is a very powerful partner, there are some serious weaknesses that he has in this fight in particular. Because the Shadow Queen in her final phase has a natural point of defense, and can even at will increase her own defense, if she does that, Yoshi cannot do any damage at all with his ground pound. And that's with P up D down P. Another thing is that Yoshi at base only has one attack for either ground pound or stampede. If you factor in the Shadow Queen's base defense as well as all the attack up you can get from your badges, Yoshi still does some catastrophic damage, doing as much as 45 in peril with a single ground pound. And thanks to having a boost sheet left over, that actually equals 90. But compared to Goombella, who has a base 3 attack at Ultra Rank, a 5-cap multi-bonk does 50 damage, or 100 after 2 thanks to the boost sheet. That's not a small difference, considering that any extra turns the Shadow Queen has to heal herself can be really bad. And Goombella hitting harder near the beginning of the fight also helps a lot in ending the fight faster too. Even given that though, Yoshi will have an easier time than Vivian did here, so all we have to do is just do it, right? Well, let's talk about how the attempt I had went. But let me get this out there. The Shadow Queen had mercy on me. I did not deserve to win. Right now you're seeing my badges before I go into the final fight. And I am certain that the more astute of you can see where the problem is as far as why I feel like I was gonna lose. My first dilemma was the first phase and how to not lose more items than necessary. I had a huge stroke of luck. The Shadow Queen only targeted Yoshi with her attacks for the first 3 turns. And how much damage they did, along with a random stage hatchet which I managed to guard, allowed me to drop Yoshi's HP all the way down to 1 out of 30. That is phenomenally lucky. And after my 4th attack, the Shadow Queen only had 87 HP left. That's phase 1 done, and phase 2 is easy. Just boost sheet, attack with an item, and then keep attacking until the phase ended. But it was phase 3 when I realized my fatal mistake. What I was planning on doing was attacking until after the Shine Sprite Bingo passed. Then I would attack some more, at least until a life stream was exhausted. And because I have 5 FP, and Double Dip P uses 4 FP, at least without having Flower Sabers equipped, I would double dip a point swap and a boost sheet to immediately fall into peril and start slamming the Shadow Queen like there's no tomorrow. But unfortunately, I did not give myself that option because I, for some stupid reason, had a Flower Saber P equipped. And this is what I was talking about earlier with how the Shadow Queen just basically gave me the win. Because at some point, I had to play risky if I wanted to make any real progress in this fight. On one turn, I decided that just because I didn't really have much of any other choice, I would attack her dead hands while they were out, and I was basically just praying that the Shadow Queen would both use an attack that would draw me into peril. I only had 8 HP left, so a Shadow Bolt would do the trick. But A, it had to target Yoshi, and B, we had to also hope that the Shadow Queen did not summon her left and right hands. Because odds are, Yoshi's gonna get hit more than once if that happens. But from here, it was just magical. I fell into peril, I used the boost sheet, I started attacking, and like the turn I came back from being in the shadows, the Shadow Queen even charges a Mega Wave, giving me one more turn to attack while I was in peril. And I'm like, is this actually happening? This is freaking incredible! So despite having a massive blunder at the very beginning of the fight, we lucked out! We even still had a few live streams in reserve, so yeah, this was a very decisive win. And like, by the time any indication of sour luck was coming, the fight was over. Like, yeah, the Shadow Queen had her defense increased, but she only had like 6 HP left. It didn't matter. We were in danger, one more ground pound, and all I can say now is, sayonara, Shadow Queen, good night! There goes the most fun partner I have ever used in this series. It should come as no surprise, but Yoshi freaking devoured the competition. Like, it's no contest. Yoshi made mincemeat out of this game and its bosses. At a whopping level 13, and no shot points were used at all. Like, it's how I said it in my rankings video. Oftentimes, this game favors attack a lot more than it does defense. And Yoshi's attack is phenomenal. Maybe not as high as Goombella as far as like how much damage he can do to a single target, but he has much better range. And being able to damage any kind of enemy, regardless of whether they're in the air, they're fiery, or whatever, is a phenomenal advantage. Though I'll be honest, I don't think it makes very much sense how Yoshi was able to finish this at a lower level than Goombella, but these results aren't necessarily scientific. I just took a dry run just to get a feel for it and then make my results from there. But I could totally understand if someone thought that maybe this didn't make very much sense that both Yoshi and Goombella were not at the same level. I will say though that this is the run that I really tried to go minimum battles for, at least discounting the bosses. But even if their levels were tied, there's no argument. The fact that Yoshi did not need shops at all, while Goombella so far needed them the most out of any partner we've used, there's a very clear discrepancy as far as which partner is better. And Yoshi is just that. And I am proud to announce him as the Apex Predator. But also, his time is up. And unfortunately, it was just not a very long time either. Next up is going to be Bobbery. And I hate to say it, but Bobbery will be the last good partner we use, because after him, oh lord. As always, subscribe for more challenge runs on Paper Mario if you want to see more on this channel. This is Phantom A, aka Arantula, signing out. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed day.